the voice of Indiana County, WCCS 101.1 FM, AM 1160, WCCSradio.com. I sort of blurbed with Abby Caylor that she has a unique position with IRMC, and she really does. We're going to learn about it next. Our conversation brought to you by Marcus & Mack, voted Best Personal Injury Law Firm in the Best of Indiana County contest. Marcus & Mack, a law firm representing injured people. Now, April is Child Abuse Awareness Month, and that plays into our conversation with Abby, who has a whole bunch of letters after her name. You've got a whole bunch of degrees, and you get to use them all, don't you?
I do.
Yeah. So neuropsychiatric, I'm going to mess this up.
Okay.
The Neuropsychiatric Center?
Yes, at Indiana Regional Medical Center. I'm employed there as a nurse practitioner in neurology primarily. Mm-hmm. But I think why you invited me here today is one of the job roles that I've been fortunate to have for Jefferson and Indiana County is working as a sexual assault nurse examiner, mm-hmm. and providing specialized medical exams to children in our communities that have been victims of sexual abuse.
Yeah, and it is such a terrible topic to talk about, but so necessary to have someone like you, someone who is so caring and so good with kids, because this is the worst of trauma that they're experienced.
That is. It's a good way to put it. We like to think that we are able to help families when they're at their very worst, and we are fortunate to have the Care Center here in Indiana County. I think you spoke with Jess Clark, the executive director, earlier this month. Mm-hmm. We're lucky through the partnership with Indiana Hospital that they can provide a medical professional to the Care Center. So the concept of a Care Center came about in the 1960s when someone started to realize that children of abuse, when we discover that, are oftentimes they would have to go to the police station and tell their story to law enforcement. They would have to meet with the district attorney and anybody who might be looking to adjudicate that case. They would have to go to a hospital and have a medical exam. They would have to go to social services and tell their story over and over and over again and suffer trauma repeatedly through that retelling. And so someone came up with a great idea to, instead of have the child go to all those places, bring all those resources to a child in a very friendly environment. And so we developed the care centers. We have one here in town that's actually a home that's been renovated, very child friendly, much less threatening than maybe the police station or the hospital, which can be intimidating. And we bring all those resources together. So the child only has to tell their story one time under a trained forensic interviewer who can elicit that information in the most beneficial way. And we all come together and then meet the needs of that child there.
Yeah, and they don't have to relive it over and over and over again.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and the videotaping is such a big part of this, of the forensic interviews, of everything, so that it's all on record, and when it gets to the court level, you've got the videotape that you don't have to put that child on the stand and have them do it again.
Absolutely. I mean, and it's done in a way, obviously the parents are aware of the videotaping, but it is behind, the child is just in a very child-friendly room with one person, the interviewer. Everybody can watch the interview from behind, protected glass, and it's being recorded remotely. So again, the child is just able to have a really safe environment to tell their story one time, and then they never have to go through that again, and it's preserved.
So that takes care of it legally, but at the same time, you're concerned about the child.
Absolutely.
And what they have gone through,
yeah.
And protecting them, because this is something that is going to be with them for a very long time, probably for life. And there are certainly short-term effects that have to be overcome, but there are long-term effects that also they're going to have to live with and probably be treated for a very long portion of their lives.
Yes, and so that's the key piece to the road to recovery is recognizing child abuse so we can do that. Like you said, in the immediate impact, there can be real physical injuries that need medical treatment. There can also be emotional and psychological injuries that we see with changes in behavior, changes in mood. But long term, you said a very important part, if there's chronic trauma, we actually have changes in the body chemistry, changes in brain development. And it is well known, the World Health Organization, every health organization has done significant research on the impact of adverse childhood events long into adulthood, especially if we don't get children the help that they need Victims of abuse in childhood go on to be victims of crime in adulthood, both as the victim again or the perpetrator. You know, it's a vicious cycle that sometimes children of abuse as adults abuse others. They can have long-term physical health consequences and emotional health consequences, suffering more episodes of suicide, depression, anxiety, PTSD, a host of things. And so resources like the care center and having a community hospital in tune with that gets these children help early on, because it certainly is recoverable if we get resources in place.
Those physiological changes, they're hidden and we might not see them, but they are certainly there. And that's probably as shocking for people on the outside looking in as anything, to understand that physically things change for a kid who has been abused.
Absolutely. We think that we can see things, and we probably think, oh, physical abuse, we could see cuts and bruises or broken bones, but we can't always see mood changes. And like I said, children in positive environments have neuroprotective elements. They end up having stability and security, and that fosters better development in school, and that fosters positive health behaviors. Versus children in negative situations like abuse, they are under chronic stress. That releases hormones that can actually change the sequential development in the brain. And so we can have real measurable cognitive changes, real measurable problems with attention, which then as adults can lead to less educational achievement, which can change job achievement and the whole trajectory of your life, and change the community, change economically the impact on the community as well.
So removing a child who has been abused from the abusive situation, that's one thing. And that's the first thing that you want to do, get them out of the danger zone. Once that is done, and then we understand the positive behaviors that have to be instilled in the home in order for that child to feel safe and then to begin develop. I guess what I'm getting at is, are the physiological changes and the psychological changes, are they reversible?
I would say yes. So with time and the right support systems, families, certainly that's always the goal. Like you said, the goal is first and foremost, the child has to be safe. And sometimes in the short term, that can mean changes in the family structure, because oftentimes it's a sad truth that children often know the perpetrator of abuse. But certainly families can recover, and that's the goal of the care center, making sure that physically and psychologically children and families get reassurance that they can be whole and healthy again with the right support and the right parenting interventions, social and medical services.
That really is a great relationship then between the care center and IRMC.
It is, yes.
Yeah, tremendous. There's another role that you play, and we're coming up on the beginning of May being Stroke Awareness Month. And you actually have an event coming up. I believe it's on the 15th, Headache, Migraine, and Stroke Seminar.
Yes.
On the way?
Yes. So stroke is in May, and then June is Headache Month. So it's real timely and tied together. And again, the community, in my opinion, is so fortunate to have IRMC as a community hospital that has stayed community-minded but strives to bring all specialized care close to home. So we're a certified stroke center. We have Dr. Michael Sauter there as our medical director, and we deliver amazing stroke care to people in the community without them having to leave town. There is an association between stroke and a specific type of migraine headache. And so we always want to bring awareness to that, and also to headaches in general. Headaches are something that affect probably 40 to 50% of the population. And while most of the time they're not life-threatening like stroke, that's rare, they can be very disabling, suffer from pain, cause quality of life issues, work issues. And so we want to make sure to invite the public out on the 15th to the cafeteria, because we really here, our team in our neurology department, provide all the latest headache treatments, some of them pharmacological, some of them non-pharmacological that you can do yourself. And we want to make the community aware of that, because you certainly don't need to suffer and you don't need to leave town for us to be able to treat your headaches.
Yeah. Yeah. And there are signs. There are physical signs that if you're visiting your primary care physician or your other doctors, whatever your medical team is, there are signs that you can see something coming and maybe head it off.
Absolutely. So, yeah, we just want to raise awareness about that. Like you said, being aware of stroke risk factors and being aware of all the treatments that are available for headaches, and just keeping everyone in a state of wellness.
May 15th at the IRMC cafeteria.
Yes, at 6 p.m. Please join us.
There you go. There you go. Well, we covered a lot of ground here.
You
this
did,
morning.
yeah.
You also, in addition to working with IRMC, you work in Punxsutawney.
I do. I live in Punxsutawney, and so I'm fortunate to be able to work there a couple days a week and also work here. There's a great relationship between Punxsutawney and Indiana Hospital through an organization, a parent organization called PMCN, that, Mr. Steve Wolf is our CEO, dedicated, like I said, to the mission of keeping our community hospitals locally run, but providing the highest level of specialty care. We recently welcomed Armstrong Community Hospital as well. And so our goal is just to continue to provide the highest quality health care that we can to the people of our communities without them having to travel anywhere to get special care.
That's another special relationship. Abby Caylor, it's so good to meet you.
Thank you for having me.
Glad you came to visit with us here this morning. It's 8:23. It seems redundant, but our health cycle is coming up here in just a second from Fox and NBC. But we appreciate your visit.
No, thank you so much.
It is the voice of Indiana County. It's WCCS 101.1 FM, AM 1160, and WCCSradio.com. 23 minutes after 8 o'clock, Sarah Lee Kessler. I don't think it is Sarah Lee today. I think it's Lisa Salvati. It is. Lisa Salvati has that. And then Lisa's making the house call today.